Out of home definitely is a growing trend that is part of what we're looking at. It's understanding what does that out of home experience really look like for a consumer. Is it a store? Is it a locker? Is it the ability to interfere with their parcel en route to them so they can have a little bit more flexibility? That's definitely something that is a strong trend within the clients that we deal with. The other one that really is around shopping, not quite so much just based on price, but on experience end to end, and making sure that the choice of partner that their brand is using in terms of that final mile delivery is appropriate. The days of just going for the cheap and cheery is definitely not the way to go, because people are putting far more relevance in terms of the experience the consumer has in terms of that final mile element, and their control that they can actually have for themselves to blend it around whatever their own licensing requirements might be. Returns, really, it's probably again split between two different elements, if I'm honest. So the first one is around consistency. So nobody wants to have something where it's an open-ended transaction where they know they've handed it over to the carrier to try and take it back, and then tumbleweeds blow through and nobody understands what happens next. There's no updates, there's no tracking, there's no understanding as to how long it's going to take before their money is credited back to them. So having a good technical journey to actually demonstrate what happens next, that we have the goods, that we are doing something with it, and that the credit is then going to be applied is key. I think the other thing that's worthwhile understanding, though, is having the consistency in terms of the expectation that is set by the retailer at the front. So understanding why they would have to have a return in the first place. So we're talking a lot internally to our clients at the moment about bracketing to try and reduce the number of returns you have in the first place. So obviously aimed largely at the fashion sector, to understand how you can maintain those products with the consumer rather than having to try and take a return in the first place. And is that something as simple as better description or being more clear about the way that the product is being presented to the consumer before purchase? Or is it about actually intervention? So when they're trying to raise a return, seeing if there's some way to try and maintain that item within the consumer's hands rather than actually taking a return. So if that's small discounts or description as to why they should maintain it rather than return it, that's definitely an element that the clients we work with are trying and push as far as they can. Delivery is it's the perennial story of you can line up 10 people and talk about one carrier, and there's always one person who's had a bad experience. It'll be down to the guy who did the delivery in that final mile, or the lady who happened to have handled it for them the week before because there was a cover person in that area. It's a really personal experience when you're having a home delivery. If you can try and do something to build a rapport with that local person, then you probably forgive a little bit more in terms of wobbles in the way that business delivers to you. If that final mile face presents to you and is familiar and is trying their best to try and help you, you can forgive things that don't go well upstream of that. Unfortunately, we're dealing with humans. We're dealing with pretty large numbers. Stuff is going to go wrong. I guess the other real trend that we're looking at with our carrier partners is speed of reaction. So making sure that if there is something goes wrong, you can't always avoid it. How do you try and recover it as fast as you possibly can in as elegant a way as is humanly possible? I think that the two things that we try and advocate largely are not being fixated on a single supplier. Giving consumers a little bit of control and the option to pick and choose between the actual carriers that they're actually looking at from a delivery service. It's not really a one-size-fits-all market, particularly in the UK. If you're looking to try and find something that is best fit for your entire product range, it may be that your lower value items are well suited to a postal service, and then you do accept that you're going to have a different offer for some of the higher value items. And in terms of trying to reflect a better technology experience for the consumer, almost all of the carriers now are really taking their standards up. DPD obviously led the way for many years. Everybody else really has run to try and catch up, and the communications that you get from the carriers now are far better actually than you get in a lot of other territories. I mean, certainly if we compare what we do in the UK to what we see in the US, the UK experience is really strong regardless of who the carrier you're talking to. So it's about making sure the consumer understands the value of that support and the value of that experience that they're getting from the carrier partner, and being open and transparent if something isn't quite working. So if there is a delay or if there is a problem within the network, making sure that the carriers that we deal with, we can get that message through to the retailers and through to the consumers so they are not caught unawares if something isn't working the way it's supposed to. There is going to be a shift. If I was going to put a 50p bet down now, there'll be a shift over the next few years. in a much faster, much larger way towards out-of-home delivery. Lockers, I think, will be the vanguard in lots of areas, but store delivery is actually taking a huge step forward for us as well. And it really is about giving people a better choice. As more people obviously retract and go back to working in offices on more days, the home delivery solution is great, but not everybody has, nice and easily available safe locations. So the ability to then have a convenient solution outside of the home so they can go and pick it up at a time that's convenient to them definitely is a growing piece that we know we're going to have to work hard on. And to a degree, there's an element here of learning also where the Europeans have been for quite a while. Out-of-home delivery is a bigger deal on the continent than it is in the UK. And it's trying to make sure that we pick up some of those pitfalls that they've already managed to iron out and make sure we don't make those same mistakes for ourselves.